For this week's video, we've come to Negishi Shinrin Koen, which is one of the largest parks in the city of Yokohama. It's about an hour and a half drive from central Tokyo to this park, but you can also reach here by public transportation using train and bus. If you go to Sakuragicho Station, you can take a bus. It'll come right up to the front entrance of the park. Come springtime, all of these trees that we can't see very well because it's so dark now, but these are all cherry trees and plum trees. So come springtime, this area is really quite popular for enjoying and viewing the various blossoms. The park was originally a horse racetrack to entertain the elite of Japan and the Emperor back in the day. After World War II, the racetrack was converted into a golf course by the US military. For tonight's first composition, I'm focused here on this tree that's across the pond here. From a composition standpoint, these lights that are set up for some construction work are a bit distracting, but with a low exposure, I think I can make something out of them. I'm not sure. The surface of the pond is very calm, so I'm hoping I can create a composition with this tree across the pond and the lights from the construction work that's going on reflecting off the water. And hopefully I'll be able to catch some of the lights, maybe even some of the stars and the surrounding trees reflecting off the surface of the pond. Camera settings for this shot, we're shooting in RAW in bulb mode for 160 seconds with an aperture of f14 and an ISO of 400. Hopefully this will turn out. After World War II, the park was turned into a golf course for the US military. Some years after that, part of the racetrack was converted into military housing for the US Navy. And in due time, hopefully, the Navy will return the base to Japan and Yokohama City can take over the property. And hopefully, they can convert it into a much larger park that we already have. Here in the distance we can see the original stands where the Emperor would watch the horse races. After the war, the bottom portion of the stands was converted into I believe a print shop for use by the US military. It's been abandoned since and it's off limits. They've retained the structure itself. It's a nice little symbol of the history of this area. If you visit the area behind the grandstands, they've got these photos of what the area used to look like when it was originally a horse racetrack, with some original pictures as well. It's really quite interesting, quite fascinating. I'm so glad that Yokohama City didn't just get rid of everything and they were able to maintain some of the history. For the next composition, I'm going to take a shot of the grandstand from the back. Primarily, I want to catch the star that's right above the third tower. So for this composition, I've put the camera in bulb mode, shooting in RAW with an exposure time of 120 seconds. Since I don't have to worry about the depth of field too much, I've put the aperture at f11, and with all the light that we have from the lamps, the street lamps nearby, ISO 100 should be sufficient. I should be able to get by with that. So hopefully it'll turn out and we'll see how it goes. For the final composition, I've zoomed in on the skyline of central Yokohama. More specifically, I've zoomed in on the skyline of the Minatomirai waterfront district. This final exposure will be for 40 seconds shooting in bulb mode, aperture f/18, ISO 100 shooting in RAW. And if this shot turns out, I'll go ahead and put this in the video as well. In order to get this shot, I've had to climb up on top of this children's slide, and there's a strong breeze here, so I'm a little bit worried as to whether or not I can get a clear shot zooming in as much as I have to. Hopefully the wind won't cause too much vibration and I can get a clear composition. Well, we have finished 3 shots today, and here comes somebody. Okay, we got 3 shots today, so I don't know if the last one will turn out okay or not. The wind was a bit strong, so it might not have worked out as well. Data-chan and I, we are heading back to the parking lot now. Tonight's photo shoot, although the focus was on nightscape photography, typically I think most nightscapes will focus on like city streets, city lights, that kind of thing. But this park, Negishi Shinrin Koen, it's really quite nice even at nighttime. In fact, there are a lot of people jogging here and walking their dogs. So I'll provide some information on how to get to this park in my blog. The link to that page on the blog will be in the video description below. If you ever have a chance to visit this park, especially during spring and summer, it's really quite nice. It can be a little bit crowded during summertime though. It's a beautiful place, and I'm so glad that the city had the foresight to not turn this park over into a urban development type location. So that's all for today. それじゃあよろしくお願いします。